Hello everybody, and we're going to deviate quite a bit from the general formula today. As some of my subscribers may know, I'm big into professional wrestling, have been ever since the shit days of 1995, one of the worst times to be a fan, and sadly, I was a child fan back in the day. A lot of you out there believe that we're in an era that quite rivals that in terms of shite quality. That's the PG era. And the only possible competition WWE has is that POS TNA. If you aren't a wrestling fan, then please leave. A lot of what I'm about to say is going to go way over your head, so just avoid the confusion. Turn the video off now. Now that the fans are the ones here, let me start by saying that when Bret Hart was announced to return to work for Vince McMahon, and when Hulk Hogan was announced to come to work for TNA, and, Ric Flair, Eric Bischoff, all those names, I felt a domino effect was put into motion. I think that a lot of the old school fans are going to come back now that the Monday Night Wars 2.0 are in effect, with Bret on WWE's side and with WCW Mark II, TNA, and I don't mean that in a flattering way. Vince McMahon is not an idiot. Contrary to what a lot of you may think, he isn't. He's very, very ruthless, very calculating, and will only play his trump card when it's the right time. And I feel the right time may be coming with Wrestlemania on the horizon, with all the possibilities that could come into effect. First and foremost, this is going to be a very, very pro WWE rant. I don't really watch TNA, don't care for it, don't care that it's basically nothing more than WWE's graveyard. So a lot of what I'm going to be saying deals just directly with WWE and the fact that Bret is here to bring back some old fans for nostalgic purposes, and I think there's some angles on the horizon, potentially, that could definitely set this off to be much, much bigger than what it is now. I'm going to propose in this rant an angle that, in my opinion, sends WWE's ratings into something that's at least double the meager 3.0 average they're at now. And it's an angle that will probably take them all the way into next year's WrestleMania if handled correctly. And it all starts with one of the most hated names amongst wrestling fans, and that's John Cena. Cena seems to be on the verge of some kind of character breakdown because despite the fact that he's winning these matches, he's not getting the belt. And WWE themselves even acknowledged that Cena's some kind of poster child with the things Jesse Ventura said on Raw a couple of weeks ago, with his conspiracy rant. His "I'm going to win until I win the title" mentality seems to mean that a possible heel turn is on the horizon, with the heavily rumored match he may have against Undertaker at WrestleMania. Now, before I continue anything else, let me book the Rumble to Mania for a few people, namely Undertaker, Edge, Jericho, and all that. I see Undertaker winning his, what I guess it's going to be a triple threat match against Batista and Mysterio, with Edge returning and winning the Royal Rumble proper. Whether he returns or not, it's a bit irrelevant for the big picture, but I think WWE needs a couple of solid changes, and a face turn for Edge could be the start of one of them. Now, in February, I do see Undertaker dropping the title to Jericho in an Elimination Chamber match. It's a bit too much for him to be defending the belt plus his streak at Mania. It seems to be belt versus streak or something of that nature. Edge and Jericho's feud will probably go into the main event at WrestleMania, with Edge winning in his big Triple H-style return. That's not the important bit. Here's what is important. In my opinion, this whole HBK Taker 2 match at WrestleMania is just a big red herring to generate fan interest. It's not actually going to happen. Well, we barely ever see repeat events at WrestleMania anyway. Rather, I see Cena getting frustrated around the time of Elimination Chamber, and if he can't get his big WrestleMania moment in a title match, he'll do the next best thing, take on The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And this will, of course, set up a couple weeks' worth of programming, where Cena ultimately goes over Michaels and plays the tweener up to Mania against Undertaker. Now, the important idea that I'm about to propose will anger a whole lot of fans, and myself included from a kayfabe standpoint, but it will set WWE on fire from a business standpoint. Cena goes over Undertaker at WrestleMania. Not cleanly, of course. Rather, I see something else nostalgic happening at WrestleMania, along with Bret versus Vince. Vince is too stubborn to be one-upped by a rival corporation, even something as tiny as TNA. I think with the reunion of Nash, Hall, and Hogan in TNA, he'll do something to spin on their legacy. Yes, that's right. I see the reformation of the NWO under a completely different banner. It won't be the same old crap you saw back in WCW for 3 straight years. No. I imagine that this could make a solid 1-year angle and then end it at WrestleMania 27. The new NWO will have 4 founding members. John Cena, being the carbon copy of Hulk Hogan, for the same reasons, being frustrated with the fans, frustrated with management not catering to him like they're supposed to be doing because he's the poster child. CM Punk being the public face, telling the audience that the baby faces of the show aren't straight edge, and how the audience is, boozing, smoking, fat people. Chris Jericho assisting in that kind of ranting with the hypocrite stuff, and Big Show being a veteran member of the NWO. Also Jericho's tag partner and the main muscle of the group. I'm sorry to say that Cena is over and charismatic enough to lead his own stable, especially something like the NWO, because all the nostalgic fans hate Cena anyway. Besides that, the WWE title has the big W in the center. I've been saying it for years that they should spray paint that W and then put the N and the O on the other sides of it. The big thing is that it has to be these 4 guys as the core members, because they all have their own unique qualities that when combined could make a huge heel stable. Any other guys leading the NWO or forming the NWO would fail miserably, like Triple H, HBK, or somebody, and it would become nothing more than a carbon copy of the Millionaires Club and the Main Event Mafia, or whatever other stupid angle you want to think of. These 4 guys could function as a combined main event force, and it could even be big enough to become cross-branded between Raw and SmackDown in order to propel the ratings for both of them. One of the main reasons I'm suggesting this is the NWO is because the current main event scene has too few heels and too many babyfaces. And this is something that could propel other NWO members into the upper mid-card, lower main event level scene if there's enough of an expansion, because it'll be both shows. This also gives an opportunity to freshen up some current guys that are being, too stale, with Edge being a top babyface contender and Randy Orton being a top tweener contender. If you need something to elaborate with, remember way back in the early days of the NWO, it wasn't just WCW versus NWO. It was both of those and the Horsemen, the 4 Horsemen thrown in as a tweener group in the center. Orton could be a parallel to the 4 Horsemen, and Edge could be a parallel to WCW, tweener and face, Throw in a couple of other guys throughout the year to build up as main eventers while Cena has a year-long run as a heel champion up to Mania, and you have some serious potential. The big thing is that it has to happen at this year's WrestleMania, because even if a fan doesn't order the pay-per-view, they're going to be checking out the result and seeing the big Cena defeats Taker with the assistance of Punk and Jericho headline. And everyone who reads that will be tuning in the following week. And if a fan is watching, you bet your bottom dollar that they're going to be hooked on that angle and tuning in for another several weeks, at least, probably months. The thing is that all this nostalgia there's a change in the winds going on. I do feel the nostalgia is going to be bringing back a couple of old veteran fans, and I think that Vince is going to be catering to them by bringing back something else that's old in name but new in style, and that's the NWO. Because obviously they have the name rights to the NWO. There is no way that TNA's crappy, washed-up NWO guys are going to draw really anything anymore. You can't legitimately see them as main eventers, whereas the 4 guys in my proposed NWO, Cena, CM Punk, well, CM Punk could be the mid-carder, and Jericho being the 2 tag champions, I think they could make definitely a solid force, and then add in a couple of other guys, for United States or Intercontinental Gold, or even possibly World Title Gold on the other show, while Cena holds his spray-painted WWE Championship. Just some thoughts, some things. This is how I would book it for the next year. Rate, comment, video respond. Definitely want to hear some ideas from some other fans, see how they would book it. But thank you for your time, and I hope to see you guys again if I ever make another wrestling video. So, thanks again.